Hello everyone and welcome to a new video of your Polyglot Academy. Today it's lesson 24. We're going to talk about preposition in German. Today it's going to be a very important lesson, so stay tuned for more. Now, what are prepositions? So firstly, we're going to start with the prepositions of place. A preposition of place mostly describes where something is in relation to another object. And the prepositions of place normally answer the following questions. Where is something and where to? So if we have a movement. As a consequence of that, it means that if the preposition is going to answer the question where something is, then we're going to use the dative case. However, if we have a movement, then we're going to use the accusative case for the case. Here you can see two examples so that you understand where we use the dative and when we use the accusative. In the first sentence, we have Ich bin in der Apotheke, which means I am at the pharmacy. In this case, we have the preposition in, as in the second sentence too. And if we observe the first sentence, then we can see that it answers the first question. Where am I at this moment? I am at the pharmacy, so I am in a specific place. And because of that, we're going to use the dative. And that is also the reason why we have in der Apotheke, even though Apotheke is a feminine noun. We know that for feminine nouns, the article die becomes der for the dative case, and because of that, we have in der Apotheke. If we consider the second sentence, then we can see how we're going to use the accusative. Ich gehe in die Apotheke, which means I'm going to the pharmacy, and in this case, we have a movement. I am physically going to the pharmacy. Where am I going to? I'm going to the pharmacy, and because of that, we have to use the accusative. And for the accusative case, if we have the article die for a feminine noun, then it's going to stay die. And that is also the reason why we have Ich gehe in die Apotheke, because we have an accusative. So it is very important that you understand the cases. And here you can see it in red. You can see how the article precedes the noun and is right after the preposition. Now, there are three types of prepositions, generally speaking. First, we're going to talk about prepositions with double regency. So this means that depending on the situation and depending on which question is going to be answered, we can have a dative case or an accusative. That mostly depends on the sentence. Here you can see the most important ones. An, auf, hinter, in, neben, über, unter, vor, and zwischen. And I would recommend you to pause the video in order to copy them right down in your notebook or something like that, because they are very important. The English translation of them is an is at, auf is on, hinter is behind, in is to or in, neben is next to, über is above, unter is below or under, vor is in front of, and zwischen is between. So I hope you understand them. Here you can see an example, and from this example, you're also able to understand why we have a double regency with these prepositions. Let's observe the first sentence. Die Vase steht auf dem Tisch, which means the vase is on the table. Preposition in this case is auf, as in the second sentence too. The second sentence is Ich stelle die Vase auf den Tisch. I put the vase on the table. And you can see how in the first case, we seriously have to consider which question is going to be answered. Where is the vase? We know that the vase is on the table and the vase is not moving. So because of that, we're going to use the dative case for the first sentence. We're answering the question where, and because of that, we are having the dative. In the second sentence, however, we're having a movement. I am putting the vase on the table. And because of that, the vase is moving, and because of that, we're going to use the accusative. And because Tisch is a masculine noun, it declines to dem Tisch for the dative and to den Tisch for the accusative. So this is very important. And this can happen for all of these prepositions, so that you have to seriously consider which sentence we're talking about. Now here you can see a very important table. It is basically just a more specified version of the table we had right before. You can see an example for every preposition for the double regency. So an example for the dative and an example for the accusative for every sentence. So I would recommend you to pause the video and look at this table just to understand the examples. I will give an example right now. For example, let's consider neben, next to. Ich sitze neben dem Kind, which means I sit next to the child. I am sitting right now next to the child, and because of that, we're going to have dem Kind, so a dative case. In the second sentence, however, by saying ich setze mich neben das Kind, it means that I am going to sit next to the child. And because of that, we are having an accusative for this case. So make sure to understand the table. Now, the second type of prepositions we have are prepositions with dative rules. So what does this mean? Earlier on, we had prepositions with double regency. So this means that depending on the situation, these prepositions are going to have an accusative case or dative one, or it depends mostly on the context. But for these prepositions right there, you're always going to decline the nouns or the articles which follow to the dative case. This is very important. And the prepositions are ab, aus, bei, gegenüber, mit, nach, seit, von, zu. And with the examples, you're going to understand the meaning of these prepositions. I'm also going to make another video on the specific prepositions and on the specific usage, but I'm not going to cover right there because otherwise the video would be too long. However, ab means from, aus also means from, and bei means with. But in German, it is better to consider the prepositions directly with the sentences rather than making just a normal translation of them. So let's consider, for example, the second sentence. Ich komme aus der Stadt. It means I come from the city. And in this case, you can see how Stadt is a feminine noun. And because die Stadt is preceded by a dative preposition or by a preposition with the dative rule, so in this case aus, then we are going to decline the article die to der because we have a dative, and this is very important so that you know that every time you have these prepositions, you know how to decline it correctly. The last type of prepositions we're going to cover are prepositions with accusative rules. So for these prepositions, you know that the question we are answering is not very important. What's important is that you always decline the articles or the adjectives with the accusative. So this is very important to know. And the prepositions are bis, durch, entlang, für, gegen, ohne, So bis means to, durch means through, entlang means along, für means for, gegen means against, ohne means without, and means around. And you can see how not every preposition we talked about is a preposition of place, but mostly we have prepositions of place, so they are the most important ones to know. In the next video, we're going to cover prepositions of time. However, let's consider the second example. Die Katze springt durch das Fenster. The cat jumps through the window. You can see here that we have the preposition durch, which means through, and we know that we're going to decline the article of the noun that we can see after the preposition. We know that we have to conjugate it, we have to decline it to the accusative case. Das Fenster is a neuter noun, and for the accusative, it's also going to say das. And this is confirmed by this example. Die Katze springt durch das Fenster. Because we have durch, we are going to decline it this way. So this is also very important to know. And this was it for this lesson. Here you can see the exercises. Try to write 5 sentences by using a preposition of place with the dative and 5 with the accusative. And try to write these sentences in the comments down below, so I can correct you and I will know whether you understood everything. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to leave a comment or to ask me directly. And I will see you soon. Have a nice day.